Hi, and welcome to the Why I Love podcast, and this episode is all about Sea of Thieves.
Cloaked in folds of midnight waters, side by side, we sons and daughters, we set forth for no king's orders, but we'll sail together.
So, Sea of Thieves is a bit of a weird one for me because I love a lot of Rare games, and I've been excited about this one for a while, but the more that I've heard about the game, the more I wasn't really sure if this was a game for me. Sea of Thieves is an online shared adventure game, and no matter how much I've tried over the past few years, I've just found it harder and harder to enjoy playing games online. So when I first got an alpha invite for Sea of Thieves last year, I was filled with a bit of a mixture of kind of excitement and fear, really. I really wanted to love the game, and I didn't want Rare's first game in years to be something that I couldn't get into. But I wanted a single-player game with all the great characters that Rare creates and the great worlds and the great level design, and I didn't want an online game that I had to play with others and kind of not be able to enjoy at my own pace. I'd been keeping up with the news on the game, so I knew that Rare had added a smaller boat into the game that you could play on your own without a crew. So the first time that I played the alpha, I jumped in on my own. I got one of these smaller boats and took to the seas to have an adventure. But after I got to grips with the sailing and the boat mechanics, and I found a few bits of treasure, I just got really bored with the game, and I kind of just wrote it off, I think. I couldn't work out why everyone was having so much fun with it in the other alphas, and what it is that made this game special. And I think I actually went on Twitter and declared that I thought this was the game that would actually finally kill Rare. And so far, this probably isn't sounding like the subject of a podcast called Why I Love. So what is it that changed? I'd all but given up on the game, and it was only really from hearing podcasters and YouTubers who'd played the game behind closed doors that they were just having so much fun and they were just praising it so much. I thought there'd got to be something here that I'm missing. And then Rare lifted the ban on the closed betas, and suddenly everyone was allowed to stream. And that changed it really for me, because I started watching, hoping that I'd see some stuff that would get me to understand this game. And what I saw was people just having so much fun. I downloaded the game straight after that. I just thought I'm going to have to play this the way it's intended and give it a proper go. So I selected the 4-player galleon and jumped in with some strangers. Now, there's two main reasons that I don't really like playing games online anymore. The first is that I just find competitive games really stressful. If I lose 3 games in a row, I just get angry and annoyed and want to quit. And if I win 3 games, it's such a rare thing that I'm having a good time online that I kind of just want it to end before someone comes in and ruins it. And the thing that usually ruins it is other people, and that's the second reason that I have mainly given up playing online. If I start playing a game online with friends, it's always great at the beginning, but I soon feel this big pressure to always be available to play with them, and I start just getting this fear when they come online, and not long before I'm setting myself to appear offline and just hoping they won't come on that night so I don't feel bad about not wanting to play with them. And I find playing online with strangers even worse really, because the great social experience that was the beginning of Xbox Live just doesn't exist anymore. People either just don't speak at all because they're all in private chat with their friends, or they speak all the time and the only reason they're not in private chat is because they're so toxic that they don't have any friends. And I got to a point with Halo where I was just automatically muting everybody because I just didn't want to put up with any more racism, sexism, homophobia, and that's just a terrible way to feel about one of your favourite hobbies. So jumping onto that galleon was a big step for me, because I knew that if the first people I spoke to were just awful, then I would never play this game again, and that would probably be it for me and Rare. But in fact, for the first couple of games, nobody really spoke. And I don't think it's because people were in private chat. I think it was people like me who just didn't even have a microphone near them anymore, because what is the point on Xbox Live? So in those first games, people were talking, but they were just using the text chat. And despite the limited responses that the text chat offers, we did actually manage to find our way to some treasure and start working a little bit as a team. And it certainly wasn't a well-oiled machine, but there was a cool little thrill to seeing everybody sort of fall naturally into roles on the ship and all of us start to learn how the game worked together. And after a few games, I realised that I was really enjoying the co-op feel of the game, and working with a team was fun. The stress of competition wasn't really there. There just wasn't that toxic feel to the community. And don't get me wrong, like, this wasn't perfect. I had a game where as soon as I spawned in, the 3 other players just locked me in the brig. But unlike a lot of games where if you were locked in a cage, people would come up to you and say horrendous stuff. Instead, these people came to the jail cell where I was, just started playing music and dancing around me. And those beginning games were really fun, but there was 2 games in particular that really sold me on Sea of Thieves. They're the ones that changed my opinion completely, from that game that I thought might be the death of Rare to the game that I think might be the future of Rare. The first one of these games was quite early on. I came across a crew where just one person was speaking. Now at this point my microphone was still firmly hidden away in a drawer somewhere, and no one else on my crew had mics either except for this one player, but this didn't seem to deter him at all. He just naturally kind of took on the role of captain and started to hand out orders to people, and weirdly we all just followed. He was obviously very skilled at the game and demanded speed and precision from us as we worked around the ship. He acted like a true captain. He organised us, he taught us skills, and he just taught us how the game worked in general. And this was role-playing at its best, I think. He wasn't doing silly voices or pretending that the world was real, but he was just acting with such a serious dedication to the game. And that paid off because we ended up with loads of treasure, and I left with a great understanding of what this game could become. And I enjoyed the experience of playing with this guy so much that I actually sent him a message on Xbox Live afterwards to say thank you. And it just really reminded me of the old days, back when I was just a kid getting to grips with Xbox Live and online gaming in general. People were just happy to help and teach you things rather than scream at you and call you a noob. And inspired by this, the next day I set sail again, and this time I dug out my microphone and got ready to join another crew, hoping for a similar organised experience. But what I found was actually the exact opposite. I spawned onto a ship with only one other person, and our boat was about to sink. We were trapped on a desert island with a couple of treasure chests and nowhere to go. I started trying to talk to my other crew member, and after a bit of using text chat, he went and found his microphone, plugged it in as well, and we started chatting. Now, this guy was probably about 14, and he just absolutely loved this game. We were huddled on this island, we were trying to survive this storm, we were waiting it out, hoping that our crew were going to suddenly appear with a new boat. But after quite a while, it looked like nobody was coming for us. We didn't really know what to do. So there's a mechanic in the game where if you're abandoned, you can find a mermaid and it will spawn you back on an island with a boat. So this kid says, don't worry, you stay here with the treasure. I'll go and respawn, I'll get a boat, and I'll come back for you. Realistically, we both should have just ditched that treasure. Treasure isn't that hard to come by in this game, and it would have been much faster for us both to have just gone back, got on a new boat, and started again. And we were using proximity voice for this, so as soon as he went to the mermaid and teleported away, I had no idea whether he was still around, whether he's actually going to come back. I just sat and waited. And after a while I put down my controller, I went and got a cup of tea, and then I came back, and I just sort of sat and watched the ocean for a while. Suddenly on the horizon I spotted a ship. And I sat there waiting as the ship got closer and closer. This kid jumps off the boat. He's still on his own. He sailed a 4-man ship across pretty much the whole map to come and get me. And then he apologises for it taking so long. And there was just something so cool about that. It would have been so much easier for us both to quit and join new teams, but we didn't. That really paid off because we ended up sailing together for a couple more hours after that, and crew members came and went, and we found loads of treasure. He was taking me to different bits of the maps that he just thought were really cool, and just showing me all the stuff he'd discovered when he'd played before. And I think those games made me realise, even if the social side of this does get to me and I end up dropping this game, it won't matter because Rare have made a truly special social game. It's a friendly game, a place where people play on Xbox Live like it's 2002 again. And even if I can't get into it, I'm just glad it exists for people like the ones I met.
But we'll sail again.